There's this one comment and thought in this community that relates to Urek Mazino that I've never completely understood. And I think until I did this recent Twitch stream when I got some insight into maybe why people think this. And it has to do with Urek's baseline level of strength when he entered the tower as an irregular. I was streaming on Twitch, which you guys should be following and or subscribe to, by the way. I need to see y'all live more often. And I was talking about the irregulars and their varying growth rates, I believe, and I was saying that we don't know if Bam has actually grown the fastest, the slowest, or he's somewhere in the middle of the pack when you compare him to maybe Enryu, Urek, or the 13 Great Warriors and their pilgrimage. In addition to, I want to add Fanta, but Fanta was already an Axis, so I think he probably did come in as strong as he was, but and that never made sense to me because I'm like, he would have to have learned what Shinsu is, how to use it, fire at the speed of light, how to boost himself with it, use it to defend himself, understand Shinsu density, tension, X, Y, and Z, Shinsu quality, Shinsu shape, all that stuff. Like he wouldn't have known those things. So obviously, he would have honed the base level of strength that he had when he got in the tower. So let's say he could run 100 meters in 5 seconds. By the time he was maybe on the 40th floor, he can do it in two. So it never made sense to me. But I do want to comment on these two things that were in my chat this makes sense to me. So Pantagana said, and subscribe to him by the way, he has a YouTube channel. It's because the God of Guardians said that Urek was already strong when he got to him and had nothing to teach him. So people interpret that as he was always that strong. That makes sense to me. I can see why people would go down that route. And the Lost Child said, wait, wasn't that Urek glitched out because he was too strong to be copied? So I guess if these two kind of comments and people are thinking along these lines, I'm like, okay, it makes sense to me, but I do think that we're not being nuanced and we're not thinking deeper. So I do want to admit that it's not impossible that out of all the irregulars, if they all came in at an overall 40 to like 30, Urek came in at a 55. So maybe he was the strongest irregular off rip out of all the people who entered the tower. But that doesn't mean he was always the level of strength that you see him at today. I don't think that makes any sense based on what we know and have seen. So, what if from the time he was on floor 1 and got to the God of Guardians, which I like to call Thor, what if he just got really strong really quickly? And he peaked maybe by like the 50th floor, he was like as strong as he is today. Like he could have had the fastest growth rate. He did climb the fastest. So it's possible that really what you want to say is he got strong fast. So by the time his data was copied, it glitched out because if you compare him to anybody who's had their data copied ever in the history of the tower, especially with the irregulars, he was the strongest at that moment and thus the system couldn't handle him. I don't think it insinuates that he came into the tower as a super mega Chad off rip that could throw Shinsu at the speed of light and defend himself and use the techniques that he has today. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I didn't want to make it longer than it has to be, but I do not think anybody in the tower except Phantom Minim came in as like absolute god tier levels of strength. Everybody else had to learn things slowly but surely to amass that power. And it's possible that when Fanta came in, he may have not known things about Shinsu, but as an Axis and the author and the protagonist of another story, he would have had godlike powers anyways, and just like knowledge and wisdom about fighting in a supernatural sense, maybe in ways that Urek doesn't know, because he said it sounds to me like he comes from actual like Korea. He said there's a world of stars and lights out there. Like he might just come from like the real world, and for all we know, they didn't have supernatural abilities there, right? So food for thought. But what do you guys think? Do you guys believe that Urek came into the tower and never got any stronger? He basically came in as strong as we had seen him on the floor of death type beat. Do you think that he maybe was just the strongest irregular upon entry when we compare him to the 13 Great Warriors and Bam and Enryu? Or do you have some other thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below, and have yourself some mighty fine day. I'm gonna be out. Yeah. Patreon gang. Shout out to the Patreon gang. Yes, sir. Shout out to my certified BAM lovers. You know, I appreciate y'all deeply. Gotta give a big shout out to the Priest of Fire. That's the real CBL Brilliant gang. You already know what it is, but especially gonna give a huge thank you to my tier threes, the fifth Zen Gods. Shout out to Zodiac, Sonny Katapali, Simi, Silo, Shoddy to your body, Scobe, Revenant. Lucky Roo, Lazy Dragon, Chris, Johnny Rogers, Jacob Holland, Irene Sharda, Fitz, Tris, and my boy Abdel. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you.